I told myself I wasn't gonna make another story time for a while. Guess who lied? What is up, YouTube? That's right, I am back with another story time. Shocker, about when I was a kid doing stupid things. Another shocker. But before I get started, I would just like to give a quick shout out to one of my very good friends, Carolyn. You should go check her out. She's a YouTuber as well. I will link her channel down in the description. Show her some love. So this story takes place 5th grade. It actually wasn't sophomore year, which is incredible because everything happened sophomore year. I was never a very well-liked kid. I always got pretty picked on, you know, it was whatever. I had a few kids in the neighborhood that I was friends with, and we built this hole that was a huge hole in the ground from dirt, like in the woods, and we spent like a week building it, and it had like tunnels. It was cool, like amazing, like A1 construction. That's like a little side note for you. So like I said, I wasn't very well liked, and I was just kind of fed up with these kids one day, and they said some really rude things. And I think the thing that put me over the edge is, keep in mind I was a little kid and didn't know any better, but some girl called me like a lesbian, and I was like, what's a lesbian? And then she was like, it means that you don't like boys. I was literally like 10, so I was like, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm assuming since a bully is calling me this, it's a bad thing. Not how I feel right now, but like I said, I was 10. So I decided I wasn't going to go to school the next day. And my parents worked, so they weren't able to really tell whether or not I got on the bus or didn't get on the bus, because I rode the bus my entire like elementary school life for the most part, with the exception of a few days. I went next door to my neighbor, and it's Jessica. If you guys have seen a few of my other story times, you know all about her. She's my next door neighbor or whatever. And I was like, hey Jessica, guess what? I have a plan. I'm not going to school tomorrow. She was like, oh, sick, like your parents are letting you stay home, like that's cool. Like, are you sick? Are you good? I'm like, no, I feel fine. And no, my parents don't know. And she was like, that's not really a good idea. You should probably go to school, or at least tell your parents that you don't want to go to school. But I was like, you're just 10. What do you know? Even though I was 10 at the time. I had this brilliant plan, right? I went and I got my backpack. My brother wasn't home, my older brother. I was like, okay, like going out the door. I had like a DS, I had a turkey pack, I had like my phone charger. I didn't even know where I was gonna go. But there were these bushes aligned by the front door of my house. So I got smart and I put my backpack like behind the bushes so no one could see my backpack. And it was early day, so I had already mapped out like, okay, I'm gonna come home at exactly the time that I normally do, so nobody knows. No one's gonna find out. It's all good. So I started walking, and I was walking around the neighborhood, and I was like, I don't really know where I'm gonna go. So I just kind of made a loop around the neighborhood, and then all of a sudden, out of the like corner of my eye, I see my mom's car, and she apparently like went back home with my aunt. I don't know why they were home. They just were. So she was walking into like the driveway or whatever, so I obviously did not want her to see me. So I ran into the woods that we had built, like the little underground tunnels and stuff. So I ran in there, I was chilling in there, whatever. It was like maybe 11 o'clock at this point, like school got out around like 3. I waited a while, I was playing my DS and Pokemon, you know, Pearl version, whatever, chilling, eating my turkey packs, and then I ran out of turkey packs, so I was like, yo, bro, like I'm hungry. So I sneakily went back to my house, and I saw that the car was still there. But my room at the time was in the back, so the front of the house was here, and like the cars were all here, you know, back here, and then you had like all the other rooms, and then you had my room that led to the patio and had a sliding glass door. I left the sliding glass door unlocked because I knew that I wanted to be able to like get inside during the day. Went into my room. My mom and my aunt were in her room, which was all the way on the other side of the house. So like my room was here, there was a living room, my parents' office, my mom's closet, their room. It was like that kind of layout, you know? And there were other rooms, obviously, for like my brothers and stuff, but not important. They couldn't see me, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sneak to the kitchen now, let's go. So I went and I snuck to the kitchen, got some food, made myself a sandwich, got straight back out of the house, and went back to the woods, because I'm like, okay, obviously I can't stay here because they're still here. And so I was just chilling there, and then all of a sudden I get a call from my dad about like 20 minutes later, and I'm like, that's weird. So I turned my phone off, doing the smart thing, and at this point it was about, say it was around like 2 o'clock, so it was pretty much almost time to go home. All of a sudden I see all these cars, and like these cars are just like everywhere, like just driving all over the place. And I was like, what is going on? Like, there's never that many cars around here during the day or like ever, so what is happening? And then I see on the other side of the woods, because there was my neighborhood, there was the woods, and then it split to another neighborhood. And there was this red car that looked familiar, and it stopped and it started going in the woods. So like I went under the tunnel, and I still had my phone off because I thought my dad could like track where I was, so I was freaking out. And I was like, oh snap, like what if they know I skipped school? Like this is so bad, so bad. I'm just like hiding out, like trying to figure out where to go, you know, just like worm around the woods. There's still like all these cars everywhere. And then all of the sudden, one of my parents' cars just comes slowly going by the woods and then stops. And then my older brother gets out of the car and he goes directly to the little hole hideout. And I was like, this is so strange, because I was 10 years old. I didn't know what was going on. And my brother gets out of the car. He's like, oh my god, Taylor, like you need to go home right now. Like there are police everywhere. Parents are crying. There's family members at the house. There's a ton of cars at the house. You need to get home right now. And keep in mind, I was literally like 100 feet away from the house. I thought he was lying. I was like, yeah, right. Like whatever, you're just trying to scare me, whatever. But I went anyways, and I was walking home with him. And then as I turned the corner, I kid you not, guys, there were like at least 30 cars, 2 cop cars. My Nana, which is my dad's mom, was in the driveway crying. And I just like walk up, no idea what's going on. And my Nana just comes, runs, and hugs me. She's like, oh my god, like, are you okay? How are you doing? Like, we were so worried about you. I was just like, what have I done? Like, literally, what have I done? So I walk in the house, and my mom is crying. My dad is pacing around the house. A few of my friends from school are there, like, being questioned by the police, and, like, it was just insane. And I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old, and all this was happening. And then my mom's like, we were so worried about you, but you are in so much trouble, and what happened, and blah, 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 blah. And just, like, freaking out on me, but, like, being happy that she saw me, but also, like, crying at the same time. It was just crazy. And then I got brought into my room by a police officer who later turned out to be the same police officer that I had as my security guard the following 3 years in middle school. He was just like, was anyone with you during the day? Like, I still remember some of the questions. He's like, are you harmed? Was anyone hurting you? You can tell us. Like, if anything happened to you, you need to tell us right now. And I was like, no, officer. Like, I was 10, so I don't know exactly how I responded at the time, but I was basically like, no, I just skipped school. I didn't really feel like going to school that day. And he was like, well, you know, you had us really worried. Your parents called us very concerned. and I was still so confused as to what was going on. And then my Nana walks in, and my Nana is like really happy to see me, but at the same time she's hysterically crying, pretty much just like everybody else in the house was. And she was like, "We were so worried about you. Don't you ever do that again. You're so in trouble, but I'm so glad to see you. And please don't scare us like that again." And I was just like, yo, I was just trying to stay away from some bullies. Everything quieted down. All the neighbors left. The family members left. It was just like my Nana, my parents, my brothers, obviously, and then the police officers left. I got in a lot of trouble, but I explained that I was getting bullied and I didn't really want to go back to school. I don't think my parents really believed me just because I was a really bad kid back then, and like I just had terrible grades, didn't care about school at all, so they probably didn't believe me at the time, but it was the truth. I got grounded for like 2 weeks. I went back to school the next day and the teachers gave me really dirty looks because apparently the police officers showed up there because my parents called and reported that I was missing. Nothing really happened. My parents scared me to death with a story about how if I ever ran away again, I would probably get kidnapped by some axe murderer and I probably shouldn't do that again. So I never ran away again. But that's my story. Pretty lit. Learn from my mistakes, children. If someone's bullying you, don't skip a day of school because I promise your parents will find out. And if they're like my parents and are kind of strict, they will care, and they may even go as overboard as to call the police. So, learned my lesson there. Take it from me. That is it for this video, guys. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below for further video suggestions, or if you've ever had something similar like that happen to you. Follow me on all my social medias. They will be linked down below as always. Subscribe for new videos. I put out new videos every single week. I will see you guys next video, and stay Gucci.
Drop it low, let me play that back. What?